Welcome to Akasha Whispers, a podcast dedicated to exploring the mysteries and transformative power of the Akasha. I'm your host, Pooja Metani, and I'm so grateful to have you here with me on this journey of spiritual discovery, healing, and transformation. In today's episode, we are diving into a deeply mystical and foundational topic for me, the Akashic Records. What are they? Where do they exist? How they work? How do we access them? And most importantly, how can they support you in your healing and soul awakening journey? This episode is designed to take you beyond the intellectual concept and into the feeling, the memory, the soul level recognition of what the Akashic Records truly are. So take a breath, settle in, and let your heart open. What are the Akashic Records? The Akashic Records have been described in so many ways. I remember researching when this concept of Akashic Records started popping in my mind, and there was so many different descriptions of it. Some call it a cosmic library, a vast and infinite repository of wisdom that holds every detail of your soul's journey. Others know it as soul archive, a vibrational record that captures not only the events of your lifetimes, but the emotions, the intentions, the lessons, the choices, and the karmic imprints you carry across time and space. You may have heard it referred to as the Book of Life, a divine record that holds every thought, every word, every action, and every experience of every being that has ever existed. And some speak of it as universal field of consciousness, a field that transcends duality, that weaves together the past, present, and all possible futures into a single, coherent thread of soul evolution. All these definitions are beautiful, but they're still fragments, just fragments of what the Akashic Records are. Because the truth is, the Akashic Records are not easily defined. They're not just a place or a thing. They are a sacred dimension, a space of pure light, pure love, and pure truth. A realm of divine intelligence that holds the essence of who you are beneath all the layers of identity, conditioning, or fear. This is not just poetic language I'm using, it's not a metaphor. Energetically, the Akashic Records exist in the fifth dimension and higher realms beyond linear time and physical space. Realms where everything is connected, where the illusion of separation dissolves, and where only the frequency of unconditional love remains. You cannot walk into the records with your physical body, and you cannot find them through logic or analysis. It's not a book on a shelf. It's not a database you can search. It's not something you can map or measure or even read. It's more like an energetic frequency, a divine resonance. And when you attune yourself to it, when you enter that vibration with humility, intention, and love, you step into a space of infinite knowing. In that sacred vibration, you are not just accessing information. You are reconnecting with your soul's essence. You are remembering who you truly are, why you came here, what you are meant to heal, what you are ready to release, and what gifts you carry forward into this life and beyond. The Akashic Records hold your soul's truth with compassion. They do not judge, they do not shame, they do not punish. They simply reflect what is, lovingly, honestly, and with the deepest invitation to grow, evolve, and return home to your divine self. The origins and ancient roots of Akashic Records. The word Akasha is derived from Sanskrit, one of the oldest spiritual languages on earth, and it translates to ether, spirit, or the primary substance. In the ancient Vedic traditions of India, Akasha was considered the first of the 5 elements, even before earth, fire, water, and air. It was seen as the space in which everything exists, the field from which all matter and form arise, and the invisible matrix that holds all creation. Akasha was not only space, it was consciousness, spirit, the breath of the divine that moves through all things. Centuries later, in the 19th and early 20th centuries, the term Akashic Records began to surface more distinctly in Western esoteric traditions. Helena Blavatsky, the founder of Theosophy, described it as subtle substance. Then came Edgar Cayce, often called the sleeping prophet, who profoundly shaped our modern understanding of the records. In a deep trance state, Cayce accessed this vast invisible field and offered soul readings to thousands of people. He would lie down, enter a relaxed state, and bring forth specific details about people's past life, soul purposes, and even future potential, all by accessing what he called the records of the soul. But this idea of a divine memory field, a living library, didn't begin with them. Long before these modern mystics, ancient civilizations already spoke of this sacred knowledge. The ancient Egyptians referenced it as the halls of Ma'at, where the soul's deeds were weighed and recorded in the afterlife. The Mayans described it as an invisible energy web that recorded the choices and timelines of individuals and their civilizations. Tibetan monks have long spoken of a subtle etheric field of wisdom that could be accessed through deep meditation and devotion. Indigenous people across the globe have always known of the spirit that remembers, the invisible web that connects ancestors, spirits, and future generations. They did not always call it the Akashic Records, but they honor it as the sacred memory of life itself. Some traditions call it the Halls of Records, others name it the Book of Life, or the Memory of God, or the Divine Matrix. But no matter the culture or terminology, there is a shared knowing that there exists a space beyond this physical world where all knowledge is held, a sacred field where nothing is lost, where every soul's journey is imprinted, where divine truth is kept safe until we are ready to remember. And here's the most beautiful truth of all: you already carry the key. You don't need to be a guru. You don't need to be a psychic or perfect or chosen. You don't need to be someone else. You, in your sacred consciousness, in your devotion, in your curiosity, in your intention, you can access this divine field. It is your birthright. Yes, working with a trained practitioner or teacher can guide and support you, especially when you're just beginning. But the records are not locked away behind gates. They are open to all who come with reverence, humility, and love. The Akashic Records are waiting for you, not to impress you, not to overwhelm you, but to reunite you with your truth, to show you who you really are, to help you remember what your soul came here to do, to help you return to the wisdom that's been inside you all along. My personal journey into the records started some years ago. Just few months before my spiritual awakening with the Akashic Records, a friend of mine did a tarot reading for me. During this reading, she looked at me and said, "You know you could do this too." I laughed and told her, No, I don't think I can read the tarot cards." She smiled and replied, "I don't mean the tool. I mean you can channel, just like I do. You can receive information from other realms and offer it to yourself and others." I dismissed her gently, assuming she was just being sweet or maybe a little crazy. "Only special people like you can channel," I said to her. But she looked at me kindly and said, "Everyone can channel. We just do it in different ways." I didn't believe her. I tucked her words away in the back of my mind and went on with my life. But just a month later, I started hearing and reading the words Akashic Records. I had never heard of them before, but suddenly they were everywhere. Books I was reading, podcasts, articles, random conversations. This phrase kept surfacing like a cosmic echo. I took it as a sign. I started researching. I read different perspectives on what the records were. I found some courses, some videos, some blog posts. There were some Facebook groups, and my curiosity grew. I thought, maybe this is a tool I need to learn. Not to become a healer or practitioner, that was never in my mind, but just to get answers for myself, so I don't always have to rely on someone else to access wisdom or to channel for me from the other side. Eventually, I found a teacher hosting a free 5-day challenge to connect with your Akashic Records. I joined. On the very first day, during a guided meditation, which I had done plenty of meditations before, I felt it. I felt the energy, the presence of my guides, something so deeply familiar and safe. I was hooked. At the end of the challenge, she opened enrollment to her certification course to become a practitioner. At first, I hesitated. I don't want to be a practitioner. I only wanted to read the records for myself. I reached out to her and asked her, and she explained that the first part of the course was self-reading, learning how to access the records for yourself and doing practices to do self-readings. And the second part was how to read for others to become a practitioner. If I truly didn't want to continue, I could stop after the first half. But if I wanted the certification, I needed to complete all parts, including practice sessions with peers and clients. Now, if there's one thing I know about myself, is that if I'm paying full price, I'm going to get full access and I'm going to get the certificates. So I sign up. In the beginning, when we started accessing our own records, I would receive messages and insights for myself. But my logical mind made me question everything. Maybe I'm making this up. Maybe this is just what I want to hear. The self-doubt crept in. But then we began practicing reading for others. Each week we would pair with 3 different students from around the world. Some we had never met before. And we would gather on Zoom, open the records, and read for one another. We were encouraged to give honest feedback to help build each other's confidence and skill. I remember the first few times I read for my peers. My mind was blown. I would share a vision or a message, unsure if it even made sense, and the other person would respond with wonder and confirmation. Yes, that resonates deeply. Oh, wow, that connects exactly to something I've been dealing with. The clarity and truth of the information coming through stunned me. Even if I didn't understand the message, the recipient did, again and again. I remember one time where all I kept on seeing was a house with solar panels. And I kept on asking the guides, what does this mean? How to interpret this? Is this a metaphor? And they kept on showing me this house with the solar panels. And I shared that with my peer. And it resonated for them. It was the house they dream of having with solar panels. And that was a confirmation for them that did not make any sense for me. But as soon as I shared what I was seeing, it confirmed for them something very deeply. That experience changed everything. I realized that the voice I had been doubting wasn't just my imagination. It was the voice of the records, of spirit, of truth, of the divine. And though I still sometimes overthink, especially when I'm reading for myself, the truth is now I have this connection that is unshakable. Since then, I've read for people from all walks of life, remotely, through Zoom, voice recordings, and in person. Family and strangers, women, men, elders, and even teens. The magic and insight that comes through the records always surprises and humbles me. This experience is always sacred. My intention in every session is to offer clarity, guidance, healing, and release. I want every person I work with to leave feeling lighter, seen, supported, and held. And I can say with honesty that even the most skeptical people walk away touched and intrigued. They are moved by the power and the wisdom of the records. And all you need is to come with an open mind. And if you're curious, if something in you feels drawn to explore this realm, I would love to read for you. Just reach out to book a session. It would be my honor to help you experience the magic and the wisdom of the Akashic Records. So what's inside the records? You might be wondering this. Imagine an infinite luminous field, a divine archive that holds the complete imprint of your soul's journey. Not just this life, but every lifetime that you've gone through. Not just your past, but your essence, your choices, your possibilities. Inside the records, you will find the origin of your soul, the divine spark from which you were created, your soul's blueprint, and the qualities you were meant to express in this lifetime. You will also find your past life, not just the identities you once carried, but the patterns, the karmic lessons, your gifts, and the traumas that continue to influence you and influence your experience today. You will find your ancestral lineage, the wisdom, the strength, and also the stories you have inherited, as well as the sacred contracts your soul made to bring healing and liberation through your bloodlines. You will find your current soul agreements, including key relationships, life purposes, and challenges you have chosen as growth opportunities in this incarnation. You'll find your future potentials, not fixed destinies, but luminous pathways aligned with your highest timeline, ready to unfold as you walk in greater alignment with your truth. The records are not predictive in the way fortune telling might be. They don't hand you a script or tell you exactly what to do. Instead, they offer something more powerful. They reflect back to you your divine essence. They show you your choices through the lens of your soul's wisdom. They remind you of the truth that you might have forgotten, that you're not lost, you're deeply known, and that you have the power to create your life in alignment with your highest self. So when people ask, can the records tell me what to do? I always say no. They won't give you commands, but they will give you clarity. They will remind you of who you are and who you are meant to be. And from that remembrance, your next step becomes beautifully clear. We always say that the Akashic Records don't predict the future. They are written in pencil. You hold the pencil. You hold the eraser. Your actions, your decisions, your intention makes your future be what it is. So how do you access the Akashic Records? There are many methods, but the key ingredients are this: intention, vibrational alignment, a sacred invocation or prayer, humility, and openness. I often use the pathway prayer process, a sacred invocation that opens the records through a vibrational key. But before the words, it begins with a shift in consciousness, grounding, centering, opening the heart. Because the Akashic realm is a realm of love, not logic. It's a realm of vibration. It's a realm of sacredness. You don't force your way in. You request access, you attune, you surrender, and then you are invited in. What happens during a reading? During a reading, whether for yourself or facilitated by someone else, you may experience clear words or phrases that land in your heart like truth, visuals or symbols from past life, maybe feeling of peace, release, or even emotional catharsis. You might feel a profound sense of being held by something greater. I've seen clients weep as they recognize ancient soul wounds, or suddenly feel the lightness as karmic burdens are released. Sometimes they reconnect with soul gifts they had long forgotten. Remember, the records don't judge, they simply show, and in that showing, we awaken. One of the most powerful aspects of the Akashic Records is how they support healing. Not just emotional or psychological healing, though that often happens, but soul-level healing. We often carry soul wounds that originated lifetimes ago. Betrayal, vows of poverty, silence, unresolved grief, abandonment. These energies can continue playing out in our current life as patterns. We attract similar relationships, sabotage our success, fear visibility, or even intimacy. In the records, we can identify the origin of these patterns. But more than that, we can bring them into the light of truth and grace. And when you witness something clearly in the light of divine love, it begins to dissolve. Your soul doesn't need to hold it anymore. Another aspect that often comes through in the Akashic Records is insight about soul contracts and spiritual guides. You may discover in a reading who in your life you've traveled with before, your soul family, your soulmates, karmic connections. You may discover why certain relationships are so intense, loving, or painful. You may discover the soul level purpose behind your family of origin. And you may also discover which guides are walking with you now, including ancestors, ascended masters, or angelic beings. This doesn't just bring clarity, it brings compassion. You begin to see the bigger picture. And from that place, forgiveness, gratitude, and sovereignty becomes possible. Why the Akashic Records matter so much now? We are living in a time of profound awakening. Old systems are crumbling. Truth is surfacing. Souls are remembering. And in this great shift, the Akashic Records are a sacred ally. They reconnect us to the original blueprint of who we are, before conditioning, before trauma, before doubt. They remind us that we are not broken, that our wounds carry wisdom, and that our souls are infinite, powerful, and whole. They are also a bridge between the ancient and the now, between heaven and earth, between your human self and your divine self. This is why I believe working with the Akashic Records is not just for healing. It's a practice of embodiment, of leadership, of living in alignment with truth. So, dear listener, I invite you, if you have ever felt stuck, disconnected, or like something is missing, know that your soul holds the answers, and the Akashic Records can help you remember. You don't have to believe in them to begin. You simply have to have an open mind and open heart. You can start by setting an intention in meditation, asking to be guided to what your soul is ready to know. Or if you're called, work with a trained Akashic practitioner who can hold space with integrity and love. In time, the Akashic Records become not just a resource, but a sacred relationship. Before we close, I invite you to take a moment with me now. A brief reflection. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale slowly. Bring your awareness to your heart. Imagine a soft golden light glowing in your chest, warm, radiant, alive. Now imagine that light expanding, filling your chest, your belly, slowly your limbs. And imagine that it begins to stretch beyond your body into the space around you. Imagine this until you are floating in a vast, star-filled field of golden light. Here, in this light, imagine your soul's wisdom, your own Akashic Records. Maybe you see it as a library, maybe you see it as a book, but they are all made of light and love. There's no fear here. There's no judgment. Only truth. Only love. Only remembrance. Take a breath. Anchor this feeling. Allow your brain to store this sensation, this imagery. Allow your heart to anchor the expansion you just felt. Take another deep breath and slowly, when you're ready, return to the now. Welcome back. I'm curious to see and hear what you felt during this minute reflection. I would love to hear your experience. And I want to thank you for tuning in to Akasha Whispers. I'm an Akashic Records Master Guide, I would be honored to walk this path with you. And remember, this is just the beginning of our journey. I'm so excited to continue exploring, growing, and awakening with you. In our next episode, we'll dive into deeper matters. In our next episode, we'll dive into what it means to trust your intuition and how to differentiate soul truth from fear or ego. Until then, may you walk with light, may you remember who you are, and may the whispers of the Akasha guide you home. Thank you and see you next time.